episode of Stories That Shape Leaders. Most people spend their careers building things, companies, teams, systems, legacies. And then somewhere along the way, there are those rare few who realize that most important thing that will ever build is people and relationships. Akhil spent over 3 decades at the highest levels of global business, vice president at Amazon, overseeing the most important aspect, customer fulfillment operations across APAC, MENA, and LATAM, senior leadership at Unilever and RPG Enterprises, boardrooms across continents, decisions that moved organizations, markets, and thousands of people's lives and careers. That instinct didn't retire when the corporate chapter closed. It in fact deepened. Today, Akhil coaches C-suite leaders across the world, mentors young adults, underprivileged communities, and senior women forging their path in industries that weren't always built for them. A certified executive coach, he has turned a lifetime of hard-won experience into something far more personal than you can imagine. The belief that every leader has a story still waiting to be written. And today, we are fortunate that we get to hear this. Please welcome Akhil Saxena. Akhil, what a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Srijit, and it's been an honor. It's been an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So we are looking forward to a very informal chat, Akhil, and I'm looking forward to the Akhil that I know.
Of course.
Looking at your early days, Akhil, let's get going. From being a maintenance engineer to running a whole factory in Nepal, how did you make the most of the opportunities to become the leader you are? This is the start of your journey, right?
Yeah. I think I love maintenance, but I did not ever like the lack of respect for the function. So if the machines worked well, everybody forgot you. And when the machine started making some creaking sound somewhere in the middle of the night, I would find a car waiting outside. So I realized that while I loved the function, but I really needed to do something different. And at that point of time, the whole company in Unilever had 1 chief engineer and 4 GFMs. I felt that probability of me rising in that 4 streams was higher. And that's when I said, I think I want to get into manufacturing and not just engineering. I think the first lesson I learned, Srijit, there was being consistent about what I needed and being vocal about it, to say that I needed to make this shift from maintenance to manufacturing. And Unilever at that point of time, in very informal ways, because it was a chemical process organization, therefore all production managers were actually chemical engineers. Right? Therefore, it was very hard for anybody to give me a role in that system of like, okay, come in and do manufacturing. But I was fairly vocal, and I think I must have tired out my manager at some point of time with my needs. And he said, go and run a factory in Nepal if you want to. And I think I raised my hands for the biggest challenge at that point of time. It was a loss-making factory. It was not doing too well. What we would produce in one day in Bombay factory, we would produce in a week in Nepal. And he said, one line, it can't be worse than what it is today if you go there. And I said, okay, the table stakes are what they are. Let me raise my hand for the biggest challenge that I could see at that point of time, right? So I went to Nepal, and I think I learned quite a few things there, Srijit. The first one is you were on your own. While it was a Unilever company, you were on your own. And therefore, you had to build your network of resources on yourself. What it meant was you had to demonstrate ownership. You were the only person on the ground who would really make the difference, and therefore others would look up to you. And I didn't know anything about production. So for 9 months, and I think, don't know if you recall, me and the factory manager took shifts, 12-hour shifts for 9 months. So I would run the night shift, and my factory manager would run the day shift. And we just ran shifts so that we could stabilize the factory, bring down the production cost, improve the quality, reduce the breakdowns, and so on. So for me, I think the biggest challenges was raise your hand for the big issues that you see in the business, and then show ownership. And ownership is not about just like, okay, I'll do what I have to do. It is about everything that impacts your business. Are you stepping over and beyond? And are you self-driven, or are you waiting for somebody to tell you what to do? And I think in that place, there was no one to tell me what to do. So I think I just decided that I will make the most of the opportunity. It also taught me one thing.
Brilliantly said, Akhil. You said, love your function, but love something bigger. I love that point that you made about love something bigger. And whenever you get something to something bigger, you have no clue. You're on your own. And that's exactly what you said. Raise your hand for some for the bigger issues and show your ownership and do from going to be a maintenance guy to running the factory.
Running the
You have to
factory.
do everything in between.
Exactly.
Great point.
Exactly.
Great point.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
great point.
And while I was doing this, I realized that, look, I have to build this ecosystem of mentors around me. And I think that's one thing that I really am very grateful to, all right, in the companies that I've worked over my last 3 decades. That building a network of mentors was really helpful because I had to do product development, what is the right formulation of the soap for Nepal based on the water
Absolutely.
quality, etc., etc. Right? So who would help me on maintenance? Who would help me on the packaging line for Fair and Lovely, and so on. So it forced me, and I didn't know this at that point of time, but it's just like the human body, you need for one body, you need 5 different doctors. Same way for that one human leader, you needed many mentors. And I think that really helped me because it allowed me to scale very rapidly. Yeah. So I think the one piece that I said was about building a network of mentors. The second one is when you're early in your career, you have to roll up your sleeves and work in the trenches. You have to learn before you can teach, right? And as a leader, you teach the teams a lot, but if you don't know, then it's very unlikely that you will be able to create impact with them and earn their trust. So these 9 months of night shift operations, running and standing on the floor, making batches, scrapping batches that I messed up with, I think it also built a lot of rapport with the team, a lot of rapport with the people. And it allowed me to see the human side of our workforce. And I think that allowed me to engage with them. We were all taught to lead with our heads, metrics, numbers, data, KPI, etc. But somewhere I think that was the beginning of how I could start leading with my heart, connecting with people, building that emotional connect, despite all the challenges that we were having.
So I think great point. So again, you said build an ecosystem of mentors, the willingness to roll up your sleeves and first learn before you teach.
Exactly.
And be in the trenches, and unless you're in the trench, you don't learn. And that's a great point again. And I think this point about both head and heart are required to run anything as a leader is crucial. And I think all the 3 points that you make are great as we go forward. So let's move to the second question, Akhil. You've been working for almost 3.5 decades and with some of the toughest organizations in the world, I'm sure, and very, very varied in their approaches and culture. I'm sure you would have had moments of failure. Many people don't talk about it. What were those failures? What kept you going? And what were some of the strongest lessons you learned from your failures?
Great question, Srijit. And I think there have been so many that it might be hard to enumerate all of them. The gray hair is an example of like what they cause in many ways. But I'll tell you, like as early as being a trainee at Unilever, when I was doing my trainee stint of 12 months, I was in my 3rd month responsible for running the shift operations of a chemical processing plant, a sulfonation plant. It's a processing plant, so you start the plant on day 1, and by the 4th or 5th day is when you actually start seeing the product coming out. So I was responsible for running this plant. I didn't know a lot about chemical process engineering. And somewhere towards the end of the day, the plant parameters started fluctuating. And it's a process plant, right? So the process parameters started fluctuating. And I worked with a shift officer and we tried to stabilize the plant, but we couldn't do that. And because it was a lot about burning sulfur, converting into SO2, SO3, stabilizing it, making linear alkyl benzene, etc. So it was like a pipeline and we were not able to stabilize it. By the next day morning, I had generated about 100 tons of off-spec material. 100 tons, which means that out of the 5 tanks in the factory, 1 tank was now full of off-spec material. And that's when the production manager came in, he looked at it, he sat down with us, helped us to stabilize the plant. It took us another 24 hours to really get back to routine operations. And at the end of it, he said, Akhil, you have learned something. You have learned to deal with a crisis. And I hope that the next time you have a crisis, it will not be as painful as this one. Now see his way of leading, his way of, he didn't chastise me for what I messed up, what a cause mess I created. But he just allowed me to be and to learn from that opportunity. It took us, by the way, Srijit, the impact of that was it took us 1 year to consume that off-spec material in slow percentage, 1 full year. And I still laugh about it when I go and talk to people in Chinwada sometimes. We laugh about that. But I think it taught me a lot about what leadership can be and how leadership acts when things go wrong. This was very early in my career. And then I'll tell you the next one, the biggest one that I think, which was at Amazon. So 2016, I had just taken over from the warehousing network, the logistics network of Amazon, when I was responsible for managing it in India. Because it was my first year as a logistics head, I think there was this junoon of like, do something tod ke, tufani, do something new, right? So we went ahead and made some very aggressive promises to our customers saying that, look, if you order now, you will get it in 24 hours, 18 hours, so on and so forth. We did a lot of work. But I think as our biggest peak of the year came in, which is Diwali, the cookies started crumbling. We started missing our orders in the first 4 or 5 hours. We started getting into a backlog mode. And by end of the day, this is day one of Diwali, like the largest sale for Amazon in the country, day one of Diwali. And by the end of the day, my teams were like, we are creating backlog that we thought we would have after 7 days. And now we have so much of backlog and we're not able to process fast enough, ship it out fast enough, and we're going to lose customer trust. So I was in the operational leadership.
And on top of that, Diwali. So they are also
Diwali,
waiting for things to reach.
Diwali, day one.
Yeah.
And I had to go to the business head, which was Amit, and tell him that, Amit, can we turn down marketing? And he said, Akhil, ye to day one hai. There is nothing to turn down. It is all organic, right? There's nothing to turn down. So, because we were messing up so badly, by day two, the news had traveled to Jeff Bezos through the business line, the category side of the business.
Sure.
Boss hadn't called me up to say what the hell is happening. He hasn't called me up. So, I'm still trying to figure out, we are trying to find out a way to manage the situation, but it was really bad. And because of this, customer service started coming into pressure and they moved agents from other geographies to focus on India. By day three, Srijit, in the morning, out of guilt, because my manager is not called up, I send him a WhatsApp message. Mike, this is terrible. I feel miserable. This is not the way I thought it will run out for us. It's not in good shape. That's what I wrote to him. He sent 3 lines back immediately. First one, you are riding a tiger, my friend. Let's talk when it is over. Get some sleep. 3 things. Just 3 lines. There was no, let's jump on a call, let's discuss what's happening, tell me what is your path to green, how will you recover, etc., etc. First sentence, you're riding a tiger, my friend. It took me a couple of hours to realize that what he meant by riding a tiger. If I jump off the tiger is going to devour me. So I have to go through this painful journey and bring it to a logical conclusion. So there is no easy way out, right? So, and he used the word my friend. He had still not disowned me, despite the fact that this issue had blown to the founder of the company and they were all figuring out what is happening with Amazon in India. The second line was, let's talk when it is over. I still trust you to get us through this. And the third one is get some sleep, which means that there is that empathy to say, I know you must be very stressed and worried, but take care of yourself. Those are 3 lines. We were never able to salvage that Diwali for Amazon in India. If you go to Google and search for 2016 Diwali, you will see all the news articles about delayed deliveries, customer upset, and so on. We were never able to go. I was a culprit. I messed it up completely. But you know what? We had enough and more meetings after it, but it was all about what have we learned. It was not about what did you do wrong. It was all about what have we learned. And I think those 3 lines that my manager sent me back told me what psychological safety is all about. He created that safety net for me to say, I trust you. You have to go through this, but I have the confidence that you will manage it. Next year, I'll just complete that. So next year, we ran with the same aggressive promises. And that was the fastest Diwali for many, many years after that, just because I had the confidence that, look, because I failed last year, doesn't mean that I'll fail this year. And therefore, he allowed me to have that confidence to go and do this completely at the same level of speed that we had in 2016.
I think 2 very powerful points that I picked from both the failures that you're learning. Allowed to be is actually a common theme that runs across both. And the psychological safety net that you create around your people that allows them to actually find answers and learn from the mistakes and create the best thing that they can for the future.
Exactly.
Great points. No, so I think brilliant as always, Akhil. I mean, learning, just meeting you is like, and learning is the best way that we can all share with each other and give back. You have built a career learning continuously, and I know that for myself, because the whichever organizations you've done and the stories that you've been sharing just now are powerful enough to tell us how you've built a career learning continuously. But the world that's coming is so dynamic. What's the one thing you would learn for the new world and from the past? And what's the one thing you let go of from the past for the new world?
It's a great question, Srijit. And I think the piece that comes to my mind is, the answer is in two parts. What would I learn? I would say technology. And the world is moving so rapidly. I mean, till 3 years ago, we had not even heard of AI, generative AI. We are already talking about agentic AI. There is multi-agent orchestration that is coming in. There is this whole ecosystem of human and AI symbiotic systems that are coming in, right? So this world is changing even before it can solidify. And therefore, I would say technology is one place that I feel, and most of us in this world today, even if you are a Gen Z or an Alpha, is one place to embrace. But technology is only one part of it. And I think there is a human aspect of it to say, how does technology and humans interact and interface? And that's why I believe that if I have to learn something new, it would be, how do I use the human aspects along with technology? Embrace technology and use the human aspects. So the other day I was talking to somebody and we were debating about what should the new leaders for tomorrow look like. And the word we coined was a JEDI, J-A-D-I. The new leaders should have judgment. They should have emotional intelligence. They should have this whole piece about being digitally native and completely fluent in that, and being able to inspire the workforce of tomorrow. Right, so there's technology, but technology is not standalone. Technology.
So sorry, I missed the point. You said judgment?
Judgment, emotional intelligence, that is the E. The technology or the digital, embracing the digital world, and inspiration. So J is judgment, E is emotional intelligence, D is the digital world, and I is the inspiration. How to inspire people and workforce, right? And I think for me, it's that interface between technology and humans that is going to come alive for us. And that's a skill that we really don't have. I mean, we either have the other part or we have the digital part of it, the technology part of it.
In fact, one of the words that I have used across my teams is data with emotions.
Data with emotions.
It's not just data. It's data with emotions. You don't look at only data as plain data. Look at data with emotions. So that's a great point. What would you let go of?
What I've realized is experience does not guarantee relevance in today's world. And therefore, what you have learned, what I have learned, what we have all learned might not be the precursor to future success. And therefore, how do we let go of the past ways of doing things? And how do we embrace curiosity, become open, unlearn a lot, and learn constantly? Therefore, unlearning is one aspect of it. Being curious and open is the second part of it. And continuous learning is the third part of it. And I think that's the place where I feel we have to really get good at. We think our experience will matter. Our experience will matter. But you know what? It does not guarantee relevance. And therefore, experience has to now coupled with a new way of working, new way of living, new way of being. And that I feel is something that I need to, like how many of us have to let go of, right? Don't live in the past. There's a future to create.
So to summarize, what you're saying is this whole thing about let go of your past ways, past success, let go of, unlearn what you should learn in the new environment and learn constantly. And clearly you're talking about continuous learning as a very important part. So unlearn and learn. That's the way to go forward, right?
Exactly.
Great points. So great points again. Let me move to my fourth question to you. Behind each individual, every leader is usually someone who's never held a formal title in their life. It could be a parent, a neighbor, or even a stranger you might have met on a difficult day. Who's that person for you? I know you talked about lots of mentors in office. Who's that person for you, and what did they give you that no boardroom could ever do?
I think it's going to be hard for me to name one person, but I think I'll give you three. Then the first one is my parents, right? And I think I come from a armed force background. They were in the paramilitary. My father was. So we moved around a lot in the north and northeast of the country, difficult terrain, difficult environment, and so on. And I think the early values that I learned were from my parents. Like my father's office would begin at 7:30. The jeep with the driver would land up at our house at 7 o'clock. The first breakfast in the house would be given to the driver.
Super.
Right.
Super.
And we would always say that we are all sitting on the dining table. Dad is there. We have a dog. The kids are there. But the breakfast goes to the driver first. The second breakfast goes to the dog. The third then comes to dad. And then the fourth comes to us. Us, because our school bus was at 8 and he left at 7:30. But the dog came before even himself. And we would say, Jackie, why is Jackie getting breakfast so early? Like, why aren't we getting that bread and the anda? And he would say, because he can't ask. That's why he will get it.
Super.
And then we would say, okay, but why is the driver bhaiya getting that breakfast? And he said, this man is going to be with me on the road for the next 18 hours. And if he's worried about his food, he's not going to be able to take care of himself and my safety. Therefore, it's important for him to be fed well. And I think some of those values kept adding on to what we learned in my early career. Like for my mother, she was a teacher, but she taught the Jawans and their spouses how to do knitting and crochet. And even though she wanted to teach, but there were no opportunities, so she found a way to be useful to people around her. And I think that's something that I really valued in terms of what I saw my parents doing. And then when I moved to a corporate career, Srijit, I talked about this network of mentors. You have been a mentor to me in many, many ways that you don't even recognize. But I must tell you that. And I think one mentor I specifically want to talk about is Rajesh Lal. He was of GFM for Bombay Factory.
Yes, of course, we all know Rajesh. What a lovely person, yeah.
Yeah, and he allowed me to experiment so much and be confident of who I was. He was the one who said, go to Nepal and you know what, I'm sure you will do a lot there. So I feel that mentors really helped, and Rajesh Lal was one amongst those. He stood ahead over others in that aspect. And then as I moved through my career, I think I realized that my wife played a very important part. I moved around the country with Unilever. I changed roles from FMCG to infrastructure to e-commerce. And despite all the transitions, I mean, she was like rock solid as a pillar to say, you do what you have to do, Akhil. I will figure out, I will be there for you. And I think I have to thank these three entities. There are many more that I would love to do that. But I think these stand out when you ask this question for me.
Oh, I think wow. In summary for me, values when you are young, taught by your parents. Of course, your mentors at work. And the most important person is the person whom you lean on when you come back after you are completely worryless.
Exactly.
To be worryless. To be very worryless.
Yeah.
I think great points again, Akhil, as usual. I wanted to ask you a question, but I want to change that question now.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about, if you're starting all over today, new in the new world, what did you say? But you talked about it in terms of what you would keep and what you would leave behind and what you would take forward. I want to ask you, well, the last question, 5A and 5B. What have you failed on in the last 1 year in your personal life and professional life? Yeah. Number 2, what have you done for the first time in your life in the last 1 year for the first time, professionally or personally? Over to you.
Yeah, that's a very interesting take on failure. So I'll tell you. I think when I moved out of the corporate career, one of the things I said is I want to focus on my fitness and health, and I had a plan. I think I executed that plan just to about maybe 30 to 40%, and therefore for me, that wasn't a very successful execution of the plan on the fitness journey. So over the last 1 year, I've made multiple attempts to getting fit in the way that I thought I would be, and I've started and stopped. The good news, I've started after I've stopped, so that's the good news. But I would say I've failed to be consistent on that journey, right? So I think that's what I want to be very candid about. I think it's something that we discuss at home quite often to say, look, you don't have a corporate career, but at least focus on what you thought was most important to you when you were moving out. And that's, I would say, that's a place where I don't feel good that I've been consistent about it. What have I done for the first time in the last 1 year? I think I've learned to be. I like, my kids are in the US and Canada. When I go to them, I keep my laptop away. I'm not doing calls. I'm there with them. I'm present. I think I'm being present for them. I'm present in the environment. I take long walks. I can't imagine or visualize Akhil doing this if I was thinking of my past avatar ever, right? But today I think I can be. I can just sit down next to a water and be there for an hour just watching the waves lapping the shore and still be okay with it. In the past, I would say, but I have to do these calls, these emails, this meeting, etc., etc. Right? So I think I've learned to be. I think I'm still scratching the surface there, or be. I think the journey is much deeper and bigger. But that's something that I'm very proud of.
So great points again. Consistency in whatever you want to achieve, and just be and enjoy the moment where you are. Be present for the present is what you talk about. Akhil, as always, it's been fantastic talking to you. I mean, it's such a pleasure to see you grow the way you have. It's an absolute pleasure. Let me summarize, and you may please, correct me if I'm going wrong somewhere, but add or modify. First, I picked up was that you must love something bigger, not just your function, not just what you're doing, but something bigger. And I think that's you've got to raise your hand for it. That's the first point that I picked up on your talk. The second one is that you have to build an ecosystem by creating a human side of the engagement that you do with your people. Right. That's, I think, a very powerful one that I picked up from the second point that I picked up. Allowed to be is the third one that you talked about. Allowed to be, and create a psychological safety net, which your boss did in Amazon. It's a great way so that people can learn. गलतियां नहीं करेंगे तो कहाँ सीखेंगे यार? कहाँ सीखेंगे? अगर बड़े-बड़े कंपनियों में गलतियां नहीं करोगे तो कहाँ सीखोगे? वही गलती. Don't do the same mistakes. But if you are not making mistakes, you're not growing.
Learn from your mistakes. Learn from mistakes. Yeah. What is the opportunity? What is the learning?
And keep creating new mistakes. And I often feel that we don't do enough about allowing that to be. In the new world, you talked about a very, very important thing, the interface between technology and human that you need to learn. And I think this whole thing about JADI, judgment, emotional intelligence, digitally native, and inspirational, are the four key words that you used for the new native to be successful. And I think you said success of the past or experience of the past doesn't guarantee success for the future.
Success. No.
You should just learn the mistakes, learn the big pieces out of it, and apply it into the new world. So That's the point that you made about unlearn and learn continuously and let go of the past. That's what I picked up as the fourth point. The fifth point is learning is continuous, but your first values come from your parents, and you have to, in small things, are the big learnings. Feeding your dad, feeding your dog, feeding the driver. Big learnings come from small things as long as you're willing to learn and you're willing to observe. The second, you talked about building network of mentors, and I'm touched that you feel that your network, the mentors that have helped you grow, have allowed you to come there. And Rajesh is a fantastic person that you referred to. I have huge respect for Rajesh as well. And I think the point that you made about coming back home, where you can let go of your worries,
the safe space,
just be yourself, is a big point that you made.
Where you can.
And I think it's your main anchor that you come back to, and you don't have to be anything else, right? At home with your partner. You talked about mistakes, and you talked about what you should be, as you did for the first time. I think 2 points that I picked up from there. One is consistency, the need for consistency in first knowing what you want to achieve and being consistently at it to make it happen. And the second is just be in the present, learn to be, and enjoy the present.
Yeah,
what a pleasure, Akhil.
Really enjoyable.
I hope I have summarized the learnings that you gave, and it's been absolutely brilliant to talk to you. God bless you. May you have great success as always coming your way, and look forward to being in touch one-on-one as well. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vijay. Thank you.
God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.